What's going on, guys? It's Tommy, and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro The Black Series, STAP, and Battle Droid from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This particular release was the 2024 Hasbro PulseCon exclusive for Star Wars. Hasbro PulseCon is kind of like an online event that Hasbro has been doing for about 4 or 5 years now, and in the last couple of years, they've always done a Black Series exclusive item, and you can only get this item on Hasbro Pulse, their exclusive retail website, specifically for the collector items. They do it for other lines as well. This is the one they chose to do for Star Wars in tandem with the 25th anniversary of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, as shown up here by this logo. This release is huge. This is the second vehicle that Black Series has done in 2024, and it is part of this kind of return to small vehicles that they've been really doing. So if you want to support this vehicle, I would just right out the gate say, go ahead and do it. I mean, just for the presentation of the packaging alone, I'd say this release is worth it for $50. Taking a look at said packaging, this packaging is actually a nod to the original release of this product. This is just a scaled up version of what we saw the product come in the 3.75-inch action figure line. Surprisingly, and I did see some comparison photos from good friend 212 Hunter, this STAP that we have here is not much larger than the old 3 3/4-inch STAP, so it's kind of funny to see how well this new one scales with the old ones. You'll see on the front here, you do have a nice big plastic window showing you the figure, the vehicle, and all the accessories that the figure comes with. You can even see the little bit of the flight stand peeking out down here. You have the original Phantom Menace logo with that awesome Darth Maul face, the name of the vehicle, and then the old Hasbro logo down at the bottom. On the side, you get this really cool shot from the movie of the Battle Droid on the STAP, and it tells you that it includes a vehicle stand in about 1 million different languages. This side of the packaging is identical to what we saw on the other side, except down here it says 6-inch scale articulated figure in about 1 million languages. On the back of the packaging, you do see the STAP and Battle Droid again, as well as the Episode 1 kind of logo here, and then there is a nice big blurb here in about, again, 1 million different languages. This one says, incorporating repulsor lift technology, the STAP Single Trooper aerial platform is a slim, agile craft sporting a pair of blaster cannons. STAPs are often deployed as support vehicles in conjunction with larger craft. And then down here you have the Black Series logo, which obviously wasn't on the original release. You have all your legalese down here at the bottom. At the bottom of the box, you have even more legalese and things like that. And at the top of the box, they show you again the name of the vehicle and the Episode 1 logo. As I myself have a pretty big collection of the Phantom Menace vehicles, this is actually really cool to see. This would fit in perfectly with my collection of 1999 Star Wars toys. But without further ado, let's cut right to the chase. Let's get this thing opened and we'll check out this release. I also just really wanted to take a moment to admire the Naboo swamp background that kind of shows on the inside of the packaging here. Alright, so here are the contents of the box laid out. Before we get into the vehicle or the accessories, let's first get into the some assembly required. The bottom, which is a translucent clear piece, does plug into a little ball, which is at the base of the actual flight stand. Once those pop together with a little bit of pressure, you just have a flight stand here. When Hasbro showed this off at Hasbro PulseCon, they did show off that this flight stand actually articulates, which I thought was super cool. So you can actually have this thing move around at different angles here. Now, of course, you know, when you lean it certain ways, it's gonna, you know, fall forward or fall backward, but you can actually get it to lean forward quite a bit. Looks like it can lean backward as well, and obviously you can, you know, if you want to tilt it, you can obviously work your weight around as you can work the weight distribution around and spin it however you'd like. So you can actually have it at quite an angle here and it'll stand up on its own, which is pretty cool if you ask me, that you can actually pose it this way. It's just a little bit of extra thought on Hasbro's part that I do really appreciate. The vehicle can of course be pulled out of the flight stand, and here we'll take a look at the vehicle itself with the Battle Droid on it. Of course, you have pretty much just a brown sculpt here, and then you have different hits of kind of silver for the different paint jobs jobs of it. Remember too that this is the Trade Federation specific version of the STAP, which is why you don't see it in that more blue color that you see in the Clone Wars show and such, because those ones are CIS separatist STAPs. This one is a Trade Federation specific STAP. I like the amount of detail they've shown off here with just, again, they've got a little bit of dark gray here at the fronts of the barrels of the cannons, just so that you have a little bit more detail there. And again, just lots and lots of just scratches, and you could even call it like carbon scoring, just to show the wear and tear of the vehicle. I think minute details like this do a lot for these vehicles to make them look just that much better. You can see the battle droid actually fits very nicely on here too, and we'll get into the battle droid in just a little bit, but I did just want to cover the STAP by itself. You'll see here that you got some handlebars down here, which have some really nice sculpted and painted detail to them. I think they've done a really good job with just, again, there's not too much detail you need on a vehicle like this because it's so small, but I think that the amount they went through with this was very, very well done, and it was very well thought out too. Here are the footrests down here. There are little pegs for the feet of the battle droid, or I guess other characters to plug into, which is cool. It actually features some articulation here as well, which is really, really neat. There's a little hinge system here, which actually, this part I guess just falls out on its own. You can actually fold this very, very far back, but you have some options here for some articulation, which is super neat. It can even look down a bunch too. And all you gotta do is move this neck piece around here. But with that said, I think they've done a great job with this vehicle. It's very basic, however, it's very awesome. And I'm just now seeing too, you can even articulate the handlebars a bit, which is awesome. And looking again, you can just really plug this into the flight stand very easily. You're going to have no issues with that whatsoever. So that's awesome as far as the STAP goes. I think they've really knocked it out of the park with this vehicle here. Now, taking a look at the battle droid, we do have some unique weathering here, which makes him much different. Head to toe here, you've got all kinds of unique weathering paint applications that are all throughout the figure to kind of give it that muddy, kind of grimy Naboo jungle kind of look. I think they've done a really good job with it. And on top of that, there's even little hits of silver. You know, as I move the figure around, when the light hits it just right, you have little glints of silver all over, more so not really the back of the figure, but the front of the figure. There's some on the legs, there's some up on the torso here. The battle droid has the standard articulation for a Black Series battle droid. If you have a Black Series battle droid in your collection, you're going to know exactly what you're getting into. What you're getting into is a ball joint at the head, which is going to give you some really nice range here. You can get some tilt out of that, some good down, some good up, and then the back of the head also kind of has a hinge so it can move itself out of the way. He's got a neck hinge that moves forward very, very far, goes back very, very far as well, and the neck can pull up if you want to put this guy into the folded up mode. He does have swivels at the shoulders as well as some hinges, which get you to about that 45-degree mark. He's got a swivel at the top of the bicep here by the shoulder, and then he's got some hinges at the elbows, which get you past that 90-degree mark, as well as hyperextending past the 90-degree mark. And he does have another swivel at the bottom of the elbow here. And then at the wrist, he's also got another swivel as well as a horizontal hinge, which does bend 90 degrees in both directions, and both arms are identical in that way. You do have some ab crunch here. This guy can move forward just a little bit, and he can also stand pretty much just straight up. However, you can also twist this, and the way you can do that is these two little rods here. These actually move with the torso, and this is accurate in universe here. He does have some swivels down at the hips. These can go a full 360 degrees. They do move in and out a little bit, but that's not an intended feature. That's just a feature of the figure. And then down here at the knees, you do have a hinge, which can actually fold up all the way, again, for that folding feature. As you can see, there is a cut in the back of the calves here, and it does hyperextend a bit as well. And then at the leg here, you do have a swivel at the ankle, as well as a hinge, which lets you move the ankle forward a bit and back a very good amount. You can actually fold this guy up, which is awesome. So as I kind of showed before, you kind of bring the legs in like this, kind of bring the feet down, and then the arms you can kind of do whatever you want with. Those aren't a huge deal. You're going to bring that neck joint up, bend the head down a little bit, and then you just push this figure in like that, and there you go. There's your folded up battle droid. Looks really, really good, and he's gonna look great, especially being uniquely weathered. I think he'll look great with the rest of your battle droid ranks. And again, as with all battle droids in the Black Series, he's gonna come with the standard few accessories. The first one being the little antennas that the kind of commander battle droids tend to come with. This even has some of that same weathering down here on there. So what you're gonna do is there's two little holes here in the back of the figure. You just plug this into either one, but technically you'd push it in on the droid's left shoulder here, and that's how that looks on the back. However, the backpack that we're going to be putting our battle droid with is this uniquely painted 1138. If you don't know what this is a reference to George Lucas's one of his first film projects that he did. I believe this came out 1138, even before American Graffiti, so that was a fun little nod to that. It does have, again, the same weathering, both the silver and the brown here, to match the rest of the figure. It's also got two antennas that do pull up individually here. The one closer to the middle of the backpack does pull up a little bit higher, and then again you just match this up with the holes in the back, and this sticks in with friction very nicely. Once it's plugged in, it's not going to go anywhere, and again, it's also not too back heavy, so once it's on your battle droid, he's not going to fall backward because of it. And then finally, we do have ourselves the E5 blaster rifle. This one's actually got some really nice kind of silver, you would think it's dry brushing, but it actually looks to be done in that dot matrix paint that Hasbro does a lot of lately. The blaster fits very nicely into the battle droid's hand. You can see it's a nice grip there. He fits nicely into the trigger guard, and the battle droid can of course hold this blaster in two hands. We'll put him in a little blaster holding stance here. You'll see the kind of in the Phantom Menace, they kind of hold him a little bit lower. And while this is a very difficult pose to get for the battle droid, I did manage to get him into a one-legged kind of running pose here, more accurate to what you see in kind of Battlefront 2, the most recent game. As you can see, I'm really struggling to keep this guy balanced, but it is possible to get the battle droids in a one-legged pose. Just to very briefly show off the unique weathering on the left here, this is the clean battle droid from the most recent Clone Trooper and Battle Droid 2-pack, and then on the right here, this is the red and black box from about, I want to say, 2019 battle droid. You'll see this one's a little bit darker of a tan. The one in this set is kind of in the middle, and I like that these guys are just slightly different shades of tan. It kind of helps to differentiate the battle droids when you're doing kind of like dioramas or figure photography. It's just nice to have uniquely weathered battle droids. And to mount your battle droid on, I'm probably going to stick the feet into the feet pegs first. That seems to be a very secure hold on the figure, actually. And then you're just going to kind of slide your hands into the grips for the hands there. These also hold very nicely. However, I would recommend getting all four limbs completely secured on the figure before you get him posed up. And there you go. He's posed. He looks really, really good, and he's there very securely. I'm not really worried about him falling off, and I can kind of mess with how I want him posed specifically on this STAP here without having to worry about him just falling off if he's just sitting on the shelf. So I think Hasbro did a good job, especially of how the weight distribution is on this, of getting this to look natural and look good. And of course, what kind of a reviewer would I be if I didn't show this next to the most recent Maul with Sith Speeder? This was a set that we got with San Diego Comic-Con this year, and I think these two vehicles are going to look great on a Phantom Menace display together on your shelf. And with that, I just have to say, 2024 has been a fantastic year for the Separatist Alliance. We've gotten some awesome stuff between the B2 Super Battle Droid, the Droidica, and now the STAP. I think we are in a fantastic place, especially as prequel fans, for the Black Series, and they're only going to ramp it up from here. So again, I highly, highly recommend you get this release. For 50 bucks, I think it's worth every penny and more. I think you should absolutely go out and buy at least one of these. Support vehicles in the Black Series so that we can get more going forward. Kind of vote with your wallet type thing. As of the making of this review, this item is still currently in stock on Hasbro Pulse. So again, make sure you scurry over there and pick one up for the Separatist Alliance. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. Make sure to check out my social media, all of which is linked in the description below. That'll be all for this review, guys. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.